Okay here, so before we go further here, let's just save these files incrementally. So I'm just going to say file save as, Command S for Macintosh. Of course, Control Shift S for Windows. That's going to put us right back inside our dialog box. We're just going to call this version 3. This way we continue. I'm going to post these files too so you can take a look at them. So now I just want to share a very powerful technique with you guys. I want to float my tags, my header tag, not my header tag, my nav tag, my aside tag. Now I'm going to share with you a very powerful technique here. Rather than put the float inside the div, inside the tag itself, we're going to assign classes to that tag. Classes are very flexible for a flexible, responsive web design. So we're going to assign colors and we're going to assign classes. So here's how we can do this. First of all, let's create some class color, some colors out of a class tag for the site. Now, exactly how I do this is exactly how you should do this, and I'll explain why. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say new CSS rule. There's nothing to select. I'm not selecting anything. I'm just setting new CSS rule. Okay, now based on these choices, classes begin with a period. A period denotes a class tag. So we're going to do this period. We're going to do a site color. A site color. Now we're going to use this later on. So I'm going to not reinvent the wheel here. I'm going to copy that because later on I'm going to paste that. I don't have to keep doing this again. So CSS rules for this document. So eventually, we're going to turn this file, once we start making our pages, our about page, our products page, etc., we're going to be using external style sheets. Therefore, those external style sheets can be used with class tags. Now, very important to understand about a class tag. First of all, class tags begin with a period. You can call it anything you want. You can call it my class tag. Call it something that's going to make sense to you 6 months from now when you have to redo the site or the client has a question, etc., etc. So class tag begins with the period. Now, classes are defined, then classes are assigned. I'm first going to define what the class does, then I'm going to assign it to a tag. So very important step here. Classes are defined, then classes are assigned. So we're going to hit OK. Now, I'm going to make a series of dark colors, which means I want my body copy to be white. So first thing we're going to do here for this particular site color tag, we're going to make our body copy white. So I want the background color to be, let's start with this medium color purple. Okay, okay. So that's simply site color A site color, A site color, B site color, C site color. I'm going to explain exactly why I'm doing it this way in just a second. Now, class tag should appear before your wrapper tag, but after your HTML tags. That's just a good system to use. This way, if you're working on different websites, you don't want to say, well, this client puts their class tags up on the top, this client puts their, just come up with a system that works for you. So there's a site color. Now, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here. You can either right-click or Macintosh, Control-click, and duplicate that class tag. Okay, so we're going to come right here and call this B paste. The reason I copied so I can paste. So this is going to be my B color. Okay, right now A color and B color are exactly the same because I haven't done anything differently. So we're going to duplicate B color. Control key or right click, duplicate that. We're going to call that period C paste. Again, production techniques. Don't reinvent the wheel here, guys. The oldest trick in the book with computers from 30 years ago is copying and pasting. Okay, Control C, Command C, Macintosh. So this is going to be my C color. We're going to do one further color, Control key, duplicate. We're going to make this dot D paste. Now again, these are class tags. Classes are defined, then classes are assigned. So right now, for all practical purposes, these colors are exactly the same because I duplicated them. So here's a simple technique here. We're going to double click B. I want B to be a darker version of this color. So how can I do that? I can click right here. I can go to my color wheel. Now, I'm on Macintosh. Windows uses slightly different interface for colors, so you have to get to know the colors for your particular computer, but this is for Macintosh. I'm going to take this color and I'm just going to drag this down. So the B color will simply be a darker version of the A color. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK, right? And hit OK here. Then double click C, And I want C color to be the opposite, the lighter version of this color. So I'm going to select the color, select the wheel here, and drag this down and make this lighter. Now, if you want to, you can fine tune this further by dragging this closer to the center. I just want to have a lighter version of the color. And hit OK. Now, D color, now keep in mind they're all the same color. So right now, D has nothing to do with C. D has something to do with A because I duplicated A to make D. So I'm going to double click D color, and D color is going to be the opposite of this color. This way I have contrasting colors. So I'm going to say wheel. So if this is where the color lives, then this is the color's opposite. I'm going to make it the opposite color a slightly darker version of the opposite color. So therefore, I can come up with a E color, which is a lighter version of this color by Control key, pop-up menu, duplicate, again, let's call this period E, paste. Okay, so E color, double click, is going to be a background color that's going to be a lighter version of this color. We're just going to take this and drag this up to here. Now, if the color is getting so light, keep in mind our typeface was white. So in this particular case, I may choose to go to type and make our type color black because black will work better on this particular color. Okay, make a change, save a change. Okay, so I have A color, B color, C color. These are class tags. Now, before we go further, we're going to make floats for the tags, for the nav tag and the assign tag, the aside tag, the article tag, etc., etc., etc. So I could double click those rules. I'm going to expand this out a little bit here. So I could double click these tags, which I haven't created yet. I haven't created the aside tag and the section tag. But as an example, if you wanted to float the header tag, make a rule for the header tag up here. I just want to share with you, we're not going to put the float inside the tag because eventually these style sheets are going to be external style sheets, which means I don't want to have the tag embedded into the float embedded into the tag itself. We're going to have the float go into a class tag. So once again, I come down here to the bottom right and I click New CSS Rule. So we're going to have a float left. We're going to keep this very, very simple. We're going to say RIGHT float. Simply write float. Now, this is not an ID tag. This is a compound. Okay, so we're going to say period RIGHT float. Now, I don't want to confuse you here, but if you choose class, it's not required to put the period. The software will put the period there for you, but I think it's much simpler to just do everything from compound. Compound just makes a combination of things, but I can also write custom class tags this way. So I simply, and notice that this is camel case. Camel casing requires the second, third, fourth, fifth word to be capitalized, just so I can physically see that it's a separate word. It says write float and not refloat, or whatever that word would mean if it wasn't a capital F. Okay, so I'm going to take the word float, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel, and I'm going to copy this. Now, what does a write float class tag do? Well, it simply floats to the right. So I'm going to say box float to the right. That's what the float right class tag does. Now, I don't have any margin space, any padding space. Incidentally, pop quiz here, guys. What did these numbers default to? What is padding defaulting to and margin defaulting to based on the way I construct my CSS rules? The answer is it's defaulting to 0. 0 is a value. So it'd be very foolish for me to do this because it defaults to that because, I'm going to hit OK here for a second, because the asterisk tag is the grandfather tag. Remember we did that in a previous class. The asterisk tag defaults to 0, 0. Therefore, it trickles down. CSS, cascading style sheets, cascades like a river. So this rule is affecting all these tags set to 0 or otherwise noted. So right float is going to appear before my color tag. Okay, now I can either duplicate that. So let's actually do that. Let's hold down the control key, duplicate this tag, and simply say period L-E-F-T. So I can, spelling sometimes helps, but spelling in this particular case is not necessary. Okay, so period left float, and I hit OK. Now when I double click this, I simply need to change the box so it floats to the left. So now we have the structure, the CSS structure of a very powerful and flexible web design because we're assigning the colors not inside the tag itself. We're going to assign the colors inside of class tags. So classes can be defined and classes can be assigned. So as an example here, we're going to choose to, in this particular case, we don't have a tag for white. Now, let's think about this very, very intuitively. The container tag, which we created, the container tag is not the wrapper tag. The container tag basically affects everything that's inside the content here. So I just want to share that thought with you. The container tag is affecting the content. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to select the header tag by putting my cursor here, selecting the tag. Now, I already have a rule for the header tag. Now, let's say I wasn't paying attention and I didn't know that I had a rule for the header tag. So a little simple technique here. If you come over here and you click current, and you already have a tag for that, that will show you the currently selected tag for that select tag down here in the bottom left inside my tag selector. So that's just a little side note here that you can use, especially if it's a site that you build yourself and you're saying, okay, what tag, what rule goes with this tag? So a simple technique here is if you select the tag and you select current first, you will see if in fact there's a tag, there's a rule that exists for that particular tag. So let's assign a color to this tag called header. So how can I do that? I select the tag, I select the tag. Now, we create a class tag, property pal, based on these choices, I didn't select this tag, I selected this tag. In order to affect the tag, I have to select the tag. Very important step here. So I'm going to give this a color of, I'm going to give this color E color. Now, it doesn't say E color, it just says E site color. Okay, because that's what I named the class tag. Plus, it shows you a visual snapshot as to what that particular class is going to look like, including font styles and everything else. So we're going to simply select that. So that changed the tag to that particular color. Make a change, save a change. So it's a very powerful technique because now, as I build my site, the header tag can now have different colors based on different pages. But if you put the code, the color code inside the header tag itself. So as an example, if I chose not to do it this way and I came over here to header and I put a color in here, so I'm just going to pick a color. I'm going to pick this blue color. So watch what happens here. Okay. So if now I'm going to come back here for a second. I'm going to take header and I'm going to go to class tag and I'm going to say none. So by default, this is going to be blue because it's hard-coded inside of the header tag. So if I select header and I go to this again. Okay, so it's important to understand I don't want to hard code the color itself. I don't want to hard code the color itself inside of the tag, inside the header tag. I want to assign the color inside of a class tag. It's much more flexible. Again, select the tag, select the tag. Don't do this. Don't just select the text. We're going to select the entire tag, select the tag, and apply the class. Okay, so let's do something for navigation. Now, navigation, we're going to have vertical navigation, up and down navigation. So what we're going to do is nav tag is going to basically sit to the left section. Then section article is going to be here in the center of our website. And the aside tag we can use for newsletter updates or advertising or whatever you want to build there. So let's select the tag. Let's select that tag. So I'm going to select the tag and I'm going to make a rule. Select the tag, make a rule. Make a rule for the selected tag. So come over here and make a rule. Okay, so I don't want to say wrapper container div nav. But in this particular case, just so you can visually see what's happening here, that the nav tag is inside the container div. In this particular case, let's just leave this the way it is. It's still going to work regardless of how this is written, but I just want to visually see over here in my CSS palette that nav, in fact, is inside of the container div. Okay, so we're going to make this box width. We're going to change the width of the box. So for navigation, we want this to be 150 pixels wide. Okay, we're not, in this particular case, we're not going to put a height in here. We're simply going to make this 150 pixels wide, but I do want to put some kind of padding in here. So it's going to have padding all the way around. So if I hit the apply option right now, my nav is now 150 pixels wide. Okay, so it's 150 pixels wide, but technically it's not 150 pixels wide. It's 150 pixels wide plus 10 and 10, it's 170 pixels wide. I don't want it to be 170 pixels wide, so I need to minus 20 pixels. Now, in previous videos I shared with you, we put the float right in here. Now, that's not a good or bad thing, but from a production standpoint, let's think about something. Let's say on the About page, you want the nav tag to go to the right. Well, again, if you hard code the float inside the tag, it's the same tag for every single page, therefore it's going to float left or right. So we're not going to assign the float inside the div tag, we're going to assign the float inside a class tag by selecting the tag, come down here to class, and we're simply going to say left float. Now, of course, when you float something to the left, the remaining content goes to its right. We float this to the left, the remaining content goes to the right. So that's how it thinks. That's how it works. Okay, so let's continue this with another video. We're going to close this video for now. We'll continue building the rest of the site next in our next tutorial. Thanks for watching.